Good morning, Deb Watson here, and today we're painting a cute little marsh wren, singing a song of spring. Colors we're using today are cobalt blue, lemon yellow, burnt sienna, and any red. I'm starting with the background. We'll do this in careful steps, in case you're not familiar with working wet on wet. Wet the left side of the picture where the cattails are with clean water. Mix a small puddle of burnt sienna and paint the cattails with a small brush. If it spreads too much, let it dry for a couple minutes and try again. For the shadow side of the cattails, mix cobalt blue with burnt sienna, and that will darken up the brown. Then dry it well to set that paint. Next, we'll paint the blue background on the left side. I'm wetting around the bird very carefully with clean water and a small brush. Mix a big puddle of blue. Tone it down with just a tiny bit of burnt sienna. Use a large wash brush to get the best results. Paint the left side background around the cattails and the bird. Wipe up any excess paint around the edges and paint another coat of color on the cattails if you need it. My cattails dried very light, which is common when you work wet on wet. This time I'm using more paint, burnt sienna on the sunlit side and darker brown plus blue on the shadow side. If your cattails end up too dark, wipe the water out of your brush and use that thirsty brush to lift up some of the paint. Then continue on the background on the right side. I wet the paper and then paint on the blue. The left side is still wet. Once again, wipe up any excess paint. I'm also using a paper towel to dab up some of that background blue so that it's lighter around the bird. That helps make the bird stand out. Last, add one brown grass to the right side and then dry the whole thing very well. Next, use masking tape and Mr. Clean or a scrub brush to lift out the grass and stems. Lifting is quick and easy and will give you much better results than trying to paint around all the grass and stems. Just place tape on either side of the grass and use a damp Mr. Clean sponge to wipe off the color. Or you can use a damp scrub brush or toothbrush to reactivate the paint and dab it back up with the paper towel. Getting the tape to curve a bit is the hardest part, but this really is a quick and easy way to get soft edges on faraway objects. I'm reusing the tape for all the stems and grasses. You can get really thin lines for the stems on the cattail. Just lift around the cattail and not through it. For the bird, start with the lightest colors. Mix yellow-brown, maybe a touch of blue for a warm brownish color. That goes on the left side and bottom of the body. Add water to thin it down and add a lighter wash to the right side of the body and head. Mix an orange color with your red and yellow. The bottom of the body will get a little hint of orange. Darken the area beside the orange with more of your blue-brown mix. As well as the curve that goes from the back of the eye around the cheek. Paint the inside of the mouth orange. You can mix thick blue and brown paint to make it as dark as you can, a very dark gray or black. A touch of the gray-black goes on the right side of the open mouth. My washes are drying with hard edges, so I use a just damp brush to soften them up. Now that the light colors are done, we'll start with the medium values. If you have trouble with fine lines in painting, just use a waterproof ink pen for the fine details, like the beak, the eye, and the feet. It will look just as good in this little study as if you try to paint it with the brush. The head gets a bit of dark brown, and there are dark brown spots on the tail. At the base of the tail is a very dark patch. Outline under the wing feathers with dark brown also. Next, go back to your orange. Both sides of the beak have orange, as does the area above that dark patch on the tail. I darkened the body a bit and suggest some feather detail with short lines. The tail and wings are a rich orangey brown. That's burnt sienna without any blue, and you can always add orange to your brown if you want to brighten it up. The far side leg is a very dark color, almost black, as is the top half of the leg that's close to us. The bottom of the close leg is orange, and there's a shadow on the bottom of that leg. I start painting the eye with dark brown, and I'm concentrating so hard I don't even see the little spider that's gate crashing my video. Finally, he lands on the paper, and I blow him off with a puff of air. That was unexpected. Our jaunty little wren is almost done, but I can't stop adding more detail with short feather lines. I put a little more black on the back, the tail, and add shadows to the leg and toes. The cattail the wren is perched on is getting a hint of shadow. Brown on the side of the stem and on the side of the cattail itself. I build the color out with dots to suggest the texture of the cattail. Here's my opaque white. That means we're almost done. Very carefully put a small white dot in the eye. You can use your white to add an edge around the tail or around the edge of the mouth. And even a little sunlight on the sunlight side of the cattail. Last, I'm using short white strokes to suggest the furry white feathers that go over the eye like an eyebrow. And here he is, singing his little heart out. Wrens are cheeky little birds. They have a lot of spunk in a tiny little body. And even if they are just brown, they're still stylish and fun to paint. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel, and I appreciate your time in watching this. Visit watsonwatercolor.com for lots of free fun adventures in painting realistic watercolor. Happy painting!